These are about 125 grams, and that's a little bit under 100 grams. So for the guys that are somewhere in the middle that maybe want a little bit more speed but are afraid to go to graphite because they think it's going to be a less consistent, that's always a good option. And it's not, it's not just speed related. I mean, if you move the shaft faster and you get more solid, and you can control the face angle and control where you're looking. I mean, you're looking at all those parameters when you watch a guy hit it. Maybe he hits one really solid, really far, but he hits it crooked. He doesn't square the face up. He doesn't time the face really well. So there's a lot of little things that we kind of try to observe when we're watching a guy try some clubs. But that standard apex iron is probably right in your wheelhouse in the sense that it gives you some of the performance attributes you can get from a modern day, distance iron, but it's got a nice profile to it. It's got a big, clunky looking thing down there. So even our standard game improvement iron, our X2 Hot, is relatively sleek looking for what it does. You're definitely the archetype for low spin because you hit it like this. Your handle's in front, but the club's moving up, and that's less spin loft. Do you know what spin loft is? Are you familiar? I'm sure Mike here's familiar. Have you been taught? You don't remember?
I've read some stuff on it. I've heard Eric and Mike talk about it, but
it's confusing. You don't even have to think about it as loft. You can just basically think of it as the difference between where the face is pointed.
Okay.
So if I had a little pointer, right? Okay. Just looking around wherever the face looks. That pointer, okay. In fact, this is a good way to do it right here. So here's your face plane.
Okay.
Okay. And your spin loft. You don't have to think about it vertically. Just think about it this way. It's the difference between where that T is pointed versus where the club is going.
Okay.
Okay. So if I have the T pointed up a lot and I have the club moving down a lot, the club's moving this way and then the face is pointed that way. So there's a big difference between those two pointers, right? If there's a big difference between them, that's a lot of spin. Okay. Now let's say I do this. Let's say I do the opposite. Let's say I make the face plane point like that, and I also make the club go like that. I've got no difference between those two things. Okay. How much spin am I going to get? None. Zero. Right? So it's really the difference between those two. You can just think of it kind of like this, right? So the thing that's always talked about on the forums especially is, well, I want more spin. How do I hit a shot with more spin? Well, you can't just hit down on it more, right? So if let's say this bottom one is where the club is going, and the top one is where the face is pointed.
Okay.
Well, if this is your delivery, slightly down with an iron and the face is pointed up a certain amount of loft, well, if you just go like this and make it go down more, well, this angle hasn't changed any. So you'll launch the ball lower, but you want to increase any more spin. You have to make this smaller or bigger.
Right.
Okay, and all it is, difference the normal of the face, difference of the face plane versus the direction the club goes. So with you, I would say that you are, based on the numbers I'm seeing, you have very little spin loft. Okay. That's not necessarily good or bad, it just is.
Okay.
That's just a characteristic of your swing. I get pros that have a lot of spin loft and pros that get very low spin loft. That means that you tend to hit up at it, but you don't necessarily have the handle back here, you have the handle in front more. Okay. So you're like this. So the club's pointed that way, a little bit up, and the club's moving a little bit up, so those pointers are very close together. Okay. So you're not glancing off the side of the ball very much, so the ball is going to be kind of knuckleballs. So the other thing we got to be careful about is when you're hitting, you're launching pretty high and the spin's pretty low. So if I go up and loft to get the spin right, I'm also going to increase the launch angle. The question is, how much do I do it? So that would be my question. If I go from a 9 degree and bump that loft up a degree and go to 10, well, I'm probably going to bring the spin up a couple hundred RPM, so in a place that I would really like, but what will I do to the launch angle? But if I have to make a mistake one or the other, I'd rather favor getting the spin right and get the launch angle a smidge high than bring the launch angle down and then sacrifice the spin. We don't want to sacrifice the spin. The amount of lift the ball has is a critical parameter to how you flight the ball. See, the guy noses over. Now that ball rolls a long way because it's got a very shallow descent angle. So in dry conditions, you'll actually do very well with that. Wet conditions, with that flight, you may be giving up a little bit of carry distance. So that type of shot, it's harder to carry that barrier bunker out there. But if you put it between the barrier bunkers, it's hitting that angle. And then your roll, the roll model, physics-wise, is really, it's almost all this angle. It has nothing to do with the spin. I mean, when the ball hits the grass, a lot of the spin's gone. It's really how shallow is that ball going to hit. And that's always the compromise you're trying to make. Where is my point of diminishing returns? I want it to be up like this so it can carry a long way, but the more I get the ball like this, the more vertically it comes down, then I'm going to be rolled. And then if I flight it like that to shallow out that landing angle to get it to roll, well, I got to be careful that I don't drop the spin too much because then I'm going to be sacrificing those carry distance. So we don't want to trade. We don't want to trade carry for roll.
Right.
Right. We want good carry and then add some roll. Did that all make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And then we'll hit a few with face tape on and see if there's a pattern there with your delivery. Because what Mike said is a very important point. If you were hitting a toe and you suddenly decided not to hit it on the toe, that's going to change the spin. And that can change the equation. Yeah. Even that's by no means high spin. That's going to end up being still on the low side. Good ball speed out of it though. That's doubled.
Yeah.
So that was 21 right there at 21.50.
Okay.
And that's, we don't want it any lower than that. That looked pretty good. That was a good ball speed. Launch was 14. Spin rate 2307. 151 on the ratio. No, see, that was good. See where that one mark is right there?
Yeah.